Live within a matter of seconds. What's up, Mortgage Coach community? It is 2021. I have just an incredible lineup of speakers this month. And for the second Tuesday of 2010, we have Jonathan Roche. What's up, Jonathan?
Dave, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you and blessed to be on to connect with your community today.
Well, dude, every time I know I'm going to interview you, I know there's going to be a whole new level of energy. I feel like I always bring high energy, but when I know I'm stepping into the Coliseum with Jonathan Roche, I know it's going to be a whole new level and a whole new pace. So can't wait, dude.
Yeah, well, blessed to be here and for your community. 20 was an amazing year from a volume standpoint, but I also think it was very disruptive as far as balance, health, energy, vitality. So I'm hoping over the next hour to equip the team with a lot of new strategies and really a shift in mindset to get fired up for not only what they're going to do business-wise in 21, but more importantly, what they're going to do with their families and the vibe and the balance and how they show up at home.
Well, I know there's a lot to talk about. I was going to, just because when we were prepping via text and video last night, as we were both sitting down to watch the national championship game with our sons, I was going to start this call off just small talk around that. But I feel like we just need to get into it because I do think this year it's very different than last year. And I personally can't think of a year where the first week of January has been so on fire. Like, I just feel like often the first week of January, it's like, hey, we're getting our cobwebs out. We're not just hitting it at an intense race, but I feel like at least the crew that I hang around with, like, everybody is more pumped about this year than they've ever been. Again, they're mortgage professionals, had a record-breaking personal best last year, and I also feel like they're more focused. So let's just get right into it. Knowing loan officers as well as you do, because I know you know loan officers very well. You've got a lot of clients, but I also know you have a lot of elite athletes that you train. How should we be starting the year, and what should we be doing so that we could just kill it this year?
I think that the number one suggestion for people, and it'll sound strange, which is really having an epic 2021 is going to be more about what you stop doing than what you do. And that's really hard, but world-class athletes, world-class CEOs, world-class people, they're really meticulous on what they're going to put their time and energy into. And then they do the hard work of deciding that certain things need to be abandoned in order to scale up the peak performance ladder. So what I've been working with my clients on is this idea of what's your don't do list for 21. And it's really hard, right? Because if you look at 20 and you trounced it, your negative voice, that inner voice we all have that I think holds us back, can go, no, you're good, you're cranking, just do that again. But if you're really world-class, you want to grow, you want to be better, particularly at home. And when we think of really making 2021 the best year of your life, which I'd invite the audience to make that decision. Don't decide it's going to be one of the best years, decide it's going to be the best year. And if that's the end game, then you're going to back out from that and think of, all right, where are you right now? How do we close this gap between my current state, how I'm showing up, how I'm serving my home team, my team into office, the families we're blessed to serve, the potential families we're blessed to serve? How do we close that gap? And it's really going to be about stopping doing certain things. And I'll just throw a couple examples. So an area of opportunity for a lot of people is they say they're going to start working out and they commit to a certain amount of days, but they keep giving themselves wiggle room. So something that someone could, agree to stop doing is scheduling workouts and then blowing them off. Second thing, and audience won't really love this, but I'm just going to say it. Second thing could be you're going to stop having more than one glass of wine or beer per night. Third thing could be you're going to stop, continually checking social media all day long, like the next thing you're going to read. On my personal list, I had already done it in 20, which is on my do not do list is I do not watch the news. I have not watched 1 minute of news in 20, in 21. I hear about everything I need to know from everyone else. It is toxic. It drags you down. It hinders your greatness. Because what I really want the team to think about today is this super simple but impactful concept, which is knowing precisely when is game time and then knowing when preparation time is. And obviously professional athletes know that like the back of their hand. They know exactly when the games are, or the PGA player knows when their events are. But here's the other interesting thing. Truly world-class people, including athletes, they also include game time as their time with their family. And if you take nothing out of our time today, I would love to jolt you to realize that that team, I'm pointing to my amazing wife and my 3 kids who you might hear, and my golden retriever puppy, and we all know how this flows, right? They're the number 1 team. So they deserve my A game. And what I've seen with a lot of mortgage professionals, they're trouncing it. The money's awesome, right? Like, oh my gosh, honey, we could pay off this, we could do that. That's all good. But if you end up crawling out of your office each night with like your B game or your D game, that's getting old. And I don't mean that as a jab, but it is. And when you go in on your self-care, your sleep, your water, your limitation of news, your workouts, and you elevate, and then you're able to pace through the day, then part of that game time, which is in the, at dinner, you're hanging out, what's going on, and you connect with your kids, you still have your A game. But that has to be purposeful and intentional, not wing it. And I don't know, Dave, do you have any thoughts on that as far as this principle of game time versus preparation time?
Well, before I go into my answer on that, I want to just pause on that, how you open this up, that the best of the best, what are we going to stop doing? And when I did the Modern Mortgage Summit, I invited 29 of the most successful mortgage professionals in the country that I knew that were modern. And then I didn't just like say, hey, here's what I want you to talk about. Or, hey, here's a list of headlines and topics. This is what I want you to talk about. I gave them, like when I asked Shayla Gifford to speak at this event, and she'll say this, I said, Shayla, I want you to pick a keynote and some topics that you're not doing it for me. You're not doing it for Mortgage Coach. You're doing it for yourself. Like you're doing it for your team. Like what message do you want to make a keynote around? What message do you want to create videos around that you just want to do for the people that you love and that you serve and you're excited? And one of those was how to say no. And there were a couple speakers, like when I asked them, what do you want to talk about? The power of saying no. So this is something I know from personal experience that top people do. And I want everybody in the community, and I didn't do this. So I got my first takeaway, Jonathan. I did spend more time planning, like reviewing my year. I've never never written a 5-year vision for myself. But Jeremy Forcier, when I interviewed him, said, he read his 5-year vision and it almost it gave me goosebumps. It emotionally connected, but I didn't make a list of what are the things I'm going to stop doing. So I want everybody to think about that, pause around that. If you did make some personal decisions around things that you're going to stop doing or you're going to reduce, I would love to have those in comments, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching the recording. What's your stop doing list for 2021? You're an elite or want to be elite mortgage professional. What are you going to do less, or what are you going to stop doing? Put it down below. Jonathan, anything you want to add to that before we go into that next question you had?
Yeah, which is if the list doesn't make you uncomfortable, you're aiming too low. Like if you're not like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to tell my spouse that, or if I said that to my team. Like I had a call this morning with a high-level Microsoft executive who won't use his name for obvious reasons. And we're going to talk about him later in our time together, because when I started coaching him a year ago, Microsoft, I wouldn't say they were the enemy, but he was like anti-Microsoft and my job's, my boss, and this whole kind of rant. And a lot of people think their job's the problem, or their boss is a nut, or the industry is too crazy. And the real issue, the real enemy is your negative voice that holds you back from personal greatness, that holds you back from being the most positive person in the room or the most positive person on the Zoom call. Because once you get that right and you get your energy and your vibe on, life doesn't become easy, but it becomes so much easier. And so my client this morning, a year ago, he's all fired up, he's gonna leave Microsoft and everything else. Now he's at his goal weight, he's dropped 20 pounds, he's on fire, energy levels at 5. He's now in the running for this amazing promotion. He already got one in the fall at this really, high level, even higher level executive at Microsoft. And so what I talked about this morning, and he said, oh, it's going to play out over the next 4 to 6 weeks. And I said, okay, as of this conversation right now, you are in training for that. And I could hear him like, oh, and we talked through, what are you going to commit to? What are you going to stop doing over these 6 weeks so that you know for a fact, every one of those Zoom calls, every one of those interviews, you're getting the job. It doesn't matter who the competition is. Your confidence level is so high, your energy is so high, your vibe's so high, you're getting that job. But the fees are going to be due over these next 4 to 6 weeks. And then we went through, and I don't ever go, Dave, what exactly are you going to commit to? That's not my coaching style. I ask the right questions and enable the athlete or the leader to answer them in a way that feels right, that they're making an agreement, most importantly with themselves, and then me as their coach. So long story short, we went through, what are you gonna give up over these 6 weeks? What fees are you going to pay? And for all of the team right now, a mortgage coach, what are you going to pay in 2021? I don't mean your fees for software or a seminar or a book or any of that. What fees are you willing to pay in order to become who you currently are not? That's kind of channeling the whole Jim Rohn, right? Which is, who do you need to become to actualize your goals? Who do you need to become to serve the same amount of families but work 2 hours less per day? Who do you need to become to work the same amount of hours but impact 50% more families in 2021? And all of that is hard work. I'm kind of going on a rant here, Dave, based on this whole, like, it should make you uncomfortable. But if it's a layup, like, oh, I'm gonna agree to do blah, blah, and it's super light coming out of your mind, it's too low. And world-class people, including, I'm blessed to coach 3 out of the top 30 originators in the US, they don't bump into success. They orchestrate it. They're meticulous. Doesn't mean they're robots, but here's an interesting thing. They're misunderstood by most people. And that's not a jab. And again, I would say, if you are understood, then you've signed up for a less than amazing journey than you and your family deserve for. You should be misunderstood. They should be like, that guy Dave's like crazy. Oh, he's talking about his mortgage coach and he loves it. And he's this, and the guy gets up early, he's drinking coffee all the time. It's like, I know, he literally cannot wait to get out of bed to serve you guys, to serve people in the mortgage community. Dave, you want to add anything to that?
I don't drink coffee all the time. I have one espresso in the morning. And, and if I drank any more than that, I would be a freak. It would, I can't even drink a cup of coffee because it has too much caffeine. But thank you, I love that. So Harrison said he's going to stop being on demand and work on being in demand. Nice, dig that, dude. Katie said, I'm going to make a not to-do list, kind of making a play on the to-do list. Like, we all have to-do lists. Katie's going to make a not to-do list. Katie also said, stop multitasking, be more present. I think I always have that on my list. And Jay said, I'm going to stay off social media in a major way. And I think there's a time when social media is busyness and a time when it's business. And I think it's important for us to recognize that as leaders. There is some business to be done with social media, but there's also way too much busyness. And so figure that out for you. I think it's going to be different. Denise Donahue, who's the mortgage nerd, and she's built this amazing social media brand. I mean, there's a lot of business that she's doing with social media. And I know Denise personally, and I know she's pretty smart about not being too busy on that. So think about that, guys. So Jonathan, another takeaway I just had, and I don't know if it was intentional on your part, but a lot of times we make these goals like, hey, this is what I'm going to do in 2021. And really what matters most is, what are we going to do over the next 3 weeks? What are we going to do over the next, you said 6 weeks. And so I almost think, like, while we talked about this call and I framed it, hey, it's 2021, let's kill it. Should we maybe, like, it's not about 2021, it's about January. It's about February. Make a smaller period of time that we're going to make changes. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I love it. And I'll just say, I think we should blow off both things. I don't mean as a jab towards you, and instead decide, what are we doing on Tuesday, the 12th? How are we going to win today and repeat? And it's funny because my wife, Karen, she's amazing. She typically doesn't ask me what's going on. She doesn't know the athletes I coach, doesn't know the CEOs I coach. And each Friday, though, she'll ask me, like, hey, how was the week? And after the first week, last week, Dave, on Friday night, she asked me, how's the week? And I was like, oh, it was awesome. And she said, your clients all fired up about New Year's resolutions? And I said, I didn't have one New Year's resolution with any client discussion with any client this week. And I hadn't even thought about it. I said, that's funny. None of them brought it up. I didn't bring it up. And you go, what? No. People jump on the whole, like, New Year's resolution. Oh my gosh, Dave, I'm going to drop the weight and everything else. That's fine. And this is going to sound, this might sound bad, but I believe this with every fiber of my being. When it comes to this whole like New Year's resolution, you have two options. You can hurry up and fail, or you can take your time and win. And world-class people aren't in such a hurry if they've made the decision to become that person and stay that person. Don't miss that coaching tip, you guys. If you want to drop the weight, I want the results, everything else. But if you're really building the foundation right, you have this level of confidence around, it's all good. I just got to build the foundation. And then after I earn the foundation, which is here, then I can start layering on top the building of the first floor and build something that will sustain you for the rest of your life. And that's where the whole like New Year's resolution thing, what I love about this time of year is the idea of a fresh start. So that I'm all over, which is like, I think we're all fired up, right? We're a little too old to party, or hopefully you are, right? But we were all psyched, end of 2020, like, nice, new year. And I love that idea of a fresh start. And this may sound oversimplified, but my advice to all of you isn't how much weight are you going to lose or what are you going to do? I would say, how are you going to earn your daily 5? And I'll explain that. So I ask all my clients, it's the first question after we catch up a little bit when I speak with them, I say, what was your energy level for the last week from 0 to 5? 0, you're dragging, 5, you're on fire. And if your answer's a 5, don't change anything. You're locked and loaded. In fact, pick up the phone, line up the Zoom calls, like talk to the prospects. It's game time, you got it. But here's the interesting thing. World-class people are in a perpetual state of nurturing and guarding their 5. What do I need? Do I need a glass of water? I've done no Zoom calls sitting in a chair in 2020 or 21. I'm up right now, I'm on energy, 5. I want to bring that 5 to anyone I'm blessed to serve. And when you think of all the people in the mortgage coach community, really one of your key differentiators, whether you've realized it or not, is your energy and your vibe. And that can't be replicated by some, electronic engine or other things that people get worried about. We want to nurture our energy. And here's the interesting thing. If you decide it's 5, like the term I use with my clients, and some of them I think are like, is I say you need to demand a 5 of yourself every day. And you go, demand? It's like, yes, you sign up for coaching. We are demanding a level of 5. 5 is the bar. I had 6 closings today. Things are really nuts. Or I had, this, and then, my daughter wanted to do, that's okay. She gets the 5. And if you decide you're going to earn and nurture and protect your 5, then you'll start bridging the gap between where you are, 2 or 3, or maybe a 4 in that 5. Here's the cool thing. When you're at a 5, success becomes inevitable. I believe that. But also weight loss, hitting your goal weight, getting rid of your gut, feeling feeling fit again and healthy. Because you can't get the 5. You're not going to sit there downing 5 Red Bulls all day and be like, oh my gosh, Dave, I'm at a 5. Let's jump on the call. You're either earning the 5 when the lights are off with your sleep, with your water, with your positive content, or you're not. So I would I don't mean this rudely, Dave, but I would blow off this whole January, February, the 12, or whenever you're watching this. How do I get my 5? What do I need? Even right now, some of you guys watching, maybe you jump up, you flip your laptop, you walk in place, you grab a glass of water. And it's the little things, the incremental improvements that we make that lead to greatness. So when you look at an athlete, right, we see like, oh my gosh, did you see how he performed? Like, for instance, the national championship last night. That national championship has been built over many years by each of those athletes in the shift in mindset of how they collectively showed up as a team. And when you think of the mortgage coach community, when you think in terms of, again, back to that concept of game time versus preparation time, the truly world-class people on this planet, they know when it's preparation time and everything counts. Everything counts. It doesn't mean they're a robot. I go to bed at 8, I have salad every night, but everything counts. You're either moving forward or you're moving backward. Dave, you want to add anything to that?
Wow. So much to unpack there. I want to focus a little bit on what you said to what do you got to do to get to 5 today? And playing off of how you started this, what do you need to stop doing to get to 5 today? So I do know that I need to be standing a lot also. When I do these interviews, I'm on a stool, but maybe I need to start standing. So the more I walk, the more I move, the more I'm at a level 5. Yep. The more water I drink, the more I'm at a level 5. And then I know personally my number one the number one thing for me is sleep, and I'm pretty, I measure my sleep. I'm really fanatical about getting to bed on time so I can wake up on time. And I like to be up by, 5 a.m. But sleep is the number one thing for my energy. Guys, if you're in the community right now, what are the things that are most important to getting to level 5 energy? And I always love it. I forget how much you use the word vibe and energy, but it's also just a good reminder. And I think you said your number one competitive advantage is your energy and your vibe. By the way, Jonathan, do you believe that? Do you think that the number one competitive advantage for someone who wants to play at a world-class level, it needs to be their energy and their vibe? Is that a belief you have?
A million times over. And I'm going to add something real quick, Dave, to what you just shared, which is part of getting to your 5 is changing some of your definitions. And you go, all right, give me an example. So here's an example. I was blessed this morning. I get up at 5:33 every day. It's a nerdy number. I'll share why I use that number some other time. Get up at 5:33. I don't check email. I use 90 minutes to get mentally on fire. It's all personal development or nothing else. Then I'm blessed. My little cutie daughter, my wife, and my golden retriever, and the whole team starts waking up. It's game time. It's game time. When they come down, it's game time. And I, like an athlete, boom, game time. Everything's off, game time. Hugs, dogs nuts, everything else, right? And then I was blessed to serve a couple clients this morning on coaching calls. And then the time window, right? Like, oh, I'm supposed to connect with Dave before the call. Dave sent me text, hey, we're on. You here, buddy? Now, I had gone up and done a workout, right? And a lot of people, they go, oh no, I don't have my 60 minutes for my Peloton, or I don't have my 45 minutes. Do you have 10 minutes? And so I normally do a 30-minute interval workout. It's 8 intervals. I won't bore you with the details. But this morning, I did 5 intervals. I did a 15-minute interval workout. I warmed up for 5 minutes. I nailed 2 minutes on, 1 minute off, 5 times, 15 minutes. And I was sweating, and I was already felt like a 5 before I did the workout. I want to be like 6 or higher so I can bring it for you guys as I'm blessed to serve you today. And then I nailed the workout. I grabbed a shower, little nutrients, boom. Hey, Dave, jumping on, and we're doing this thing. A lot of people go, oh no, I didn't have this amount of time. And it's not about the time. It's about getting in your pocket of personal excellence and then doing the work. And I'll just mention one more thing. I know Kevin Watson from Churchill Mortgage is an amazing person. He may be on here. I don't see everyone. I'm guessing he's part of the mortgage coach community. So Kevin wanted me to speak at Churchill. So we lined up a Zoom call with he and Matt Clark, the president of Churchill. And I had a 10-mile run, and I was getting ready for a marathon. So my negative voice is trying to talk me out of it. Long story short, I go and pulverize the run. I come back. I'm like 5 minutes in my house. I hit the Zoom thing. And as soon as I saw myself, I was like, oh, maybe you should have prepped, professionally. I'm literally dripping in sweat. But I was blessed to then go speak at Churchill and for them to roll out our corporate wellness offering, not because Matt and Kevin were like, what's this guy's deal? He's like sweating. He looks nasty. I was on. I was fired up. How am I going to serve Churchill? What's going on? What's the employees? And the bottom line is we get too stuck on, well, I have to do my workout this way, or it has to be, why don't we redefine how we elevate? It can be as simple as you're on the Zoom call. You guys will see me do this now that I'm pointing this out. Every once in a while, I'll march in place. Now you can be like, this guy's weird. He's like going back and forth. I don't care. I want to feel awesome. And people don't care. They just want your energy and vibe. Because here's the thing in the mortgage industry. If you're getting rate shopped, it's because of 2 things. I don't mean this rudely, but I serve a lot of people in the mortgage industry, so I'm going to go there for a second. If you're getting rate shopped, it's for 2 reasons. Number 1, you're not articulating your value proposition to shift the conversation away from rates to you being a concierge for the most important financial transaction in their lives, and you hand-holding them through that. So you're not painting the vision of value. And then the second thing is you're not bringing the right energy and vibe. Like they should get off a call with you, not like they drank a cup of coffee, but be like, that lady's awesome. I think she's right. This is the biggest thing of our lives. And we're having an issue. We're trying to call into some 800 number. I don't know, honey, what do you think? I don't know. I think she's awesome. And it sounds like we'll probably end up at the same rate anyway, but now we're going to have a partner and she's going to do this total cost analysis. She has all these tools. She's locked and loaded as far as how she can serve us. And the lady's awesome. So yes. And I'm rambling on here, Dave and team, but you want to go into these calls where they're working with you. Not because you're arrogant or Mrs. like, listen to me. Like, I'm not getting, I don't mean this, I'm just going to go there. I'm not getting a call with anyone to talk about my peak performance coaching without me being their peak performance coach at the end. Not because I'm arrogant, but because I'm confident and I know it works and I can articulate the value proposition and have them by the end of the call being like, he's some like marathon dude or Ironman. I thought he was going to talk to me about nutrition. He didn't even mention nutrition. He didn't even mention exercise. He mentioned this whole inner dialogue, and then they're in. And for each of you, when you do the work in your preparation time, your non-game time, when you show up to game time, it is game time. You can't wait. You can't wait to get on the phone or Zoom call or this is going to sound nerdy, but it's almost like someone could call you at 2 a.m. Hi, it's the Smiths. We're thinking of, upgrading our home. And you go, awesome. Boom. Game time. Got it. Does that make sense? Sorry, Dave, I'm going on and on, but
hey, we got an hour, man. Although we're almost halfway through it. So much to unpack. I hope everybody heard a couple of things that Jonathan said. Like, elite people do things that other people don't understand, but they do it for themselves to trigger to be on. Like I clap when I kick off a call, and I get teased by it. My wife has teased me. My kids have teased me. People joke, oh, Dave Savage. Guys, it triggers me. Like it's a thing I learned 15 years ago from Tony Robbins when I walked on fire, that when I clap, it fires me up like at an energetic level. And when I first started doing calls and, creating videos in public, I was nervous and I did it, and I didn't even know I did it for about a year. And then people started calling it out, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, it fires me up.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure if you want to play at the highest level, there are going to be things that you do that other people don't understand. They might even tease you. They might even criticize you. But if it makes you better, keep doing it. And be thinking about, what are those things that I need to do that trigger me into my zone? The subtleties, walking, standing, talking loud, maybe obnoxious to other people, but it's what fires you up. So think about that. Real quick, do you coach Kevin? Do you know Kevin pretty well?
I know Kevin well. I'm not blessed to coach him, but I'm a fan of him and his vibe.
Dude, his vibe's amazing. So he is a mortgage coach, red belt, grandmaster, many times over. He's done thousands of TCAs. He's done 26 in the last 30 days. Kevin is also a great leader of people. Churchill is a great customer mortgage coach, and Kevin manages one of their biggest branches. I think it might be their biggest branch out of Nashville, and he just does a great job. So first of all, I'm going to put a link down below to my last interview with Kevin, because Kevin is one of those leaders in the mortgage business that everybody should watch and learn from. So I'm going to put a link down below to my last interview with him. Super spectacular guy. I want to remind people, guys, mortgage coach community, we're masterminding. So if you have questions for Jonathan, put them down below. I will bring them into this conversation. If you're watching the recording and you have a question, this won't be the last interview of the year with Jonathan. Him and I are going to do more together this year. Hey, Jonathan, I had a question. You talked about first 90 minutes and you do these personal development things. And I know, like me, I'm going through Darren Hardy's hero journey right now. I'm actually facilitating it with a group of about 15 in the mortgage coach community. I'm just curious, what's your story with Darren, and how do you leverage Darren's, do you listen to his Darren Daily? Like, how do you leverage Darren in your personal development? I'm just curious on a personal note, because I also do.
The only reason that I'm on with you right now is because of Darren Hardy. I began following him back with Success Magazine, like in the 2000s. And then I went to what is called his High Performance Forum, which is like a 3-day deep dive. This was back actually in 2012. And that's where I met Todd Duncan. And that's how I ended up eventually. Todd asked me, I presented in front of the other 25 CEOs. And Todd's like, hey, you want to present that? I'd love to have you present that at this event I have. And I was like, hey, that sounds great. I could do it. So I went home and Karen's like, how many people? I don't know. The guy's awesome. I'm not worried about the people. So then I flew out to Palm Desert, and I'd never been on a stage before. All of a sudden I text Karen. I was like, there's a big stage. There's a lot of people. This is crazy. I'm getting off topic. There's a separate conversation some other time for that. But bottom line is, when I looked at HPF for Darren Hardy, it was 10 grand. And it was like, I hadn't started my company that long ago. We weren't swimming in, not that we are, you know, like we're super blessed, but we weren't like, hey, here's 10 grand for whatever. So I looked at it for 2 years and I kept talking myself out of it. And finally I said to my wife, I said, this is an investment in our future. That call completely transformed my life. So I went to HPF. I started establishing relationships with the Todd Duncans of the world, blessed to get to know people like Dave and these other world-class people. And then also when I was at that event, one of the things that Darren really talked about was shifting from, you know, this idea of what am I going to do and talking about it to actually doing it. And my first book I've been talking about for multiple years. Then I finally published it, and it was on the Today Show, and all of a sudden it went to number 11 on the Amazon bestseller list. And I text Darren, I was like, hey, it's at number 11. Can you help me out? Can you put this, and this on Twitter, Facebook? And then he wrote back and he wrote, yes, love that you went for the ask. Love that you spoon fed me what to write. It's going out now. And then it hit number 3 on the Amazon bestseller list. Anyway, I could go on and on about that. The coachable moment for you guys is sometimes you just have to go. Sometimes you need to decide like, I don't know, 10 grand, or maybe it's not 10 grand, whatever it is. Sometimes you just need to figure it out and go, you know what, when I make the investment, maybe it's not 10, maybe it's 3, maybe it's in whatever. At that moment, you're in play. So unless you're like printing money or you don't value money, at that moment, you have some skin in the game. And guess what skin in the game does? Drives action. That's why when people invest in my peak performance coaching, I think they see the fee and they're like, what? But the second they do that, everything's changed, even though we haven't coached yet. Because all of a sudden they've made an investment in themselves and their future. And that's where all of this community mortgage coach, you guys keep doing mortgages if you want to sign up for the mediocre team. But if you want to be world class, you've got to invest in the tools and the strategies. But then most importantly, then you have to go to work and investing in your own self-care and your health and your vibe. And I don't mean cash, by the way. I mean time, energy, focus, and follow through. Back to that conversation from earlier. What fees are you going to pay in 21 to elevate? And what are you going to do that other people are not willing to do in order for you to actualize 2021 being the best year of your life? That's really what this whole call is about, elevating. And it's uncomfortable. So like when I start coaching an athlete, right, and they're rocking it, or they made the all-star team or whatever, I don't mean this rudely, but I'm not interested in what they've done before. I'm interested in what they're going to do moving forward. I'm interested in them becoming the number 1 golfer in the world. I have a client right now who is definitely going to be the number 1 golfer in the world. Right now, he's not who he deserves to be or who he needs to be. He hasn't deserved that level, but he's in the process of becoming him. And then when he becomes him, he will be him. And so as your coach today, at least for these 60 minutes, who do you need to become? And then fending off that negative voice that says, kind of a hassle getting up earlier. No, I want to have my 2 beers while I'm having pizza or whatever. Or, no, on the weekends, I kind of like to let loose. That's fine if you want to do what you've been doing before. But if you're going to elevate, there's fees to pay. And Dave, if you don't mind, I want to share one story on that. Is that cool?
Yeah, before you do that though, I want to jump in on the Darren thing, because first of all, I didn't know that story. And you may or may not know what I'm going to say next on Darren, but I knew Darren before Darren was Darren, like before he was the editor of Success Magazine. I remember having dinner with him when he was considering taking that job.
Oh.
So I've known him for a long time. And I actually introduced him and Todd Duncan and got him on the Todd Duncan stage for the first time. And then Todd and him have built a relationship. So that's cosmic and crazy and cool. And I also want to push people in the mortgage business. No one creates more free, more valuable content than Darren. Like if you are not following Darren daily, I mean, it's just pure gold. It's free. It's an email. Check it out. It's pure gold. At least I believe that. And I know you do too. This program he's doing right now, The Hero's Journey, because I've known Darren for 20 plus years and we've, remained close friends, I always get a discount beyond whatever the best discount is. So, and in fact, you probably don't know this, Jonathan, but the fact that I do a Friday call every Friday, it's called the Mortgage Coach Mastermind. I started that because Darren and I created Insane Productivity for the mortgage industry. And we created a special program. And when I kicked it off to, sell it to the mortgage industry, I wanted to have like a value add And so really I said, hey, every Friday for the next 90 days, I'm going to do this mastermind. And here we are 3.5 years later. And now it's just the Mortgage Coach Mastermind, but it used to be called Insane Productivity Mastermind. So I didn't know you had that big a backstory with Darren. So super cool, guys. Send me a link if you want to do Darren's newest program. And anything you ever want to do with Darren, I can always get an extra special discount for you. So that's super cool. Now let's hear your story, dude.
Real quick on Darren, I just want to mention something to you guys, which is Darren has built this incredible brand and huge audience. 350,000 people receive his Darren Daily message. And the reason he's done that is because he gives away 10x the value of what he charges. And you go, yeah, I kind of figured that, but don't miss that coachable moment. Anyone that's at a world-class level, they always are thinking in terms of, how do I just give? They're not going like, what can Susie do for me? They don't know what truly, I'm just going to say this is just my belief. Truly world-class people do not use the law of reciprocity. It's like, if they heard the law of reciprocity, that's like someone running their fingers down a chalkboard. They don't do that. They just give, they just serve, they just send the link, they mail the book, they do whatever. And the reason Darren's been super successful is because he just gives. And yeah, he has his business. Oh my gosh, I got too many marketing emails. Well, yes, he believes in his products. They're incredible. They're worth it. I'll just mention one more thing off that. World-class people are inspired by greatness. Non-world-class people are jealous of greatness. Super simple concept. So if you're in your office, right? And like that new lady, Lisa's killing it. You got the quarterly report. You're like, oh my gosh, that lady's printing money. Your negative voice doesn't want to like her. What you should really do is take her to lunch and ask her, what are the 3 things that you do differently versus anyone else in our office? Like, I can't believe it, you're a rock star, but your negative voice wants to not like it because you're doing the math. Oh my gosh, she's making all this money. I know, she must be a rock star. Go tap that, go get that gold. Go, don't be jealous of her, be inspired by her. You want to see the report and see that some of your peers are killing it, and then not go, oh my gosh, I only made X. Forget that. You can make Y. You're not going to make it if you're jealous. You're going to make it when you replicate greatness, when you study the greats. This isn't, Darren Hardy is super brilliant, but he's also been a genius at studying overachievers and then taking it down and going, here's the actionable steps to replicate their success. I'm going on a rant again, shocker you guys, but if you do anything, tell your negative voice to go take a hike and get inspired by the people around you that are absolutely trouncing it so that you can become them. Because all the people that are at lunch whining about the new lady, that new lady, they are going to do the same amount they did in 20. But the people that are going to 2x, 5x, 10x the amount of families they serve and how they show up for their own family over the next 1 to 3 years, they're going to be inspired by greatness. Dave, you want to add anything to that? Sorry, I was kind of going on there.
I have to. We're going to do a little Darren ode. The other thing he does that is secret to his success is he always plays at the highest level of excellence by his standard. So like the program that I just signed up for, my expectation was that it was a digital program and there was a live element of it. And then I can watch the recording anytime. And I know he was going to send something, like expectation would be like, I'd get this, something that costs $20 or less to print. No. Darren's playing at the Darren level. This is like a textbook. And I know what college textbooks cost because my son goes to Syracuse, or even high school textbooks. They're expensive. Guys, this is, he had to have spent thousands of hours in creating this textbook. And it's as expensive as it can be because he's always playing at the highest level. Like his presentation, like if anybody's ever gone through one of his, I call them EduSell events, dude, no one spends more time in creating that event than Darren. He is one of the most successful human beings in history. It's selling information, to your point, because he gives a lot away for free, 10x. And then when he does create something, he charges you for it. No one spent more time in creating it. No one worked harder than Darren. So anyways, mortgage professionals. And I am Mr. Mortgage Coach, so I'm going to say it. are you delivering the best experience to a family that you possibly can? And if mortgage coach total cost analysis is part of it, then you might be. But if you're giving a family a fee worksheet and you're not going beyond the transaction and showing people options and showing people their cost over time, you're not delivering the best experience to a family. And it only takes 5 minutes. So I just couldn't help it, because there's so much you can learn from Darren by just watching him, just being in his database. Anyways, we both align on that. We got 19 minutes, and I know you got another story to tell, and you got some cool stuff to share. So let's rock it out.
So Dave, real quick on the wow for all of you. If you are not delivering wow, then you're invisible. And your negative voice, I don't like this guy. He's too energized. If you're not delivering wow, you're invisible. You're easily replicated. So the question is, what's your defendable differentiation? Nerdy term, but that's a term I use for our patented software and our partnerships with the health insurance companies, but you can use it for an individual. What's your defendable differentiation? What do you do that no one else can do? And there's only one of you, but the you that's like carrying around extra weight, or your energy's at a 3, that's not wow. And I don't mean you need to be Mrs. or Mr. Skinny or, you know, look fit or whatever. You got to have a certain vibe to you. And when you jump on the call or the Zoom call, or you're at the close, I know it's a different world right now, you got to bring wow. And here's the thing. You can't give away what you don't have. And so I'll just throw a couple things at you. You can't hold yourself to the standard of making sure you not only use the recipient's first name, but you use it again at the end of your email in order to create a little bit more of a personalized touch. You won't do that extra effort because you're just trying to fire the email really quick. You won't, here's a tip, you guys, you won't ditch the word talk and submit the word connect with all of your client engagement, right? Think about that. Hey, I'm looking forward to talking with you and Julie on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to connecting with you and Julie on Tuesday. And then other little steps like using the name of the address of the home that they're about to invest in. So I'm super excited for your close next Friday at 11 for your dream home. That's one version. The second version, we're super excited for your close of your dream home at 405 Smith Lane next Friday. See you at 11. Whoa, like that is different. So the defendable differentiation, the delivery of wow, and trying to think in terms of how do I truly become the partner in the biggest transaction of this family's life, that's delivered when the lights are off. That's in preparation time. And again, world-class athletes know when preparation time is, the water, the sleep, the positive content, the morning routine, the lack of news or minimized news. They know that versus when it's game time. And then as they crank up the preparation time and they demand their 5 each day, and they set standards like, I'm being the most positive person in the room. I'm the most positive person on the Zoom call. It doesn't matter who the room is. Be the most positive person in the room, regardless of the room. When they set those standards, then they can go to work. And not surprisingly, you actually hear that word out of people's mouths, just like Dave did talking about Darren Hardy. Wow. And that, again, I'm going on and on, but repetitiveness is key to coaching. We've got to earn the wow when the lights are off. We've got to earn the wow when you're thinking of like having a beer, but you're kind of like, oh, it's Monday night. I'm watching the national championship. It's Monday night though. I think I should have water. You've got to earn it. Let me share a couple things real quick, Dave, that story that I wanted to tell. So Michael Strahan, most of you know who he is on Good Morning America. He's amazing. He was on the NFL Network and they were talking about who's the greatest quarterback of all time. And of course you're like, oh, well, he's going to go with the Patriots and blah, blah, blah. It has nothing to do with the Patriots, guys. It has to do with the story of personal excellence. Michael Strahan explains the reason we're mentioning Tom Brady's name in this conversation, I can tell in one story. And the other guys at the desk are like, what is it? He goes, my wife and I had Tom and his wife and 2 other players and their wives over to our home in New York City. And when he came in, I said, what would you guys like to drink? And Tom said, I'll have a water. No problem. We all grab our drinks. Tom has his water. 20 minutes later, Tom, you want a drink? Yeah, I'll have another water. Okay, grab my water. We go to have dinner. Tom, you want something else? No, I'll have another water. So Michael Strahan then explains, I pulled Tom Brady over to the side and I said to him, Tom, would you mind if I ask you why you are only drinking water? And he said, yeah, no problem. He's like, I'm in training. here's the point of the story. They had just won the Super Bowl 2 weeks later. So Michael Strahan was like, his level of excellence, his commitment was that he's in training. He's not gonna be on a football field for 6 months, but and I'm not telling you guys, hey, you guys, ditch alcohol. That's not my deal. But I'm just gonna tell you, the fees are high if you wanna be world-class. And when you think of, and it's easy, your negative voice, well, that's Tom Brady and he makes $1 gazillion. We're not trying to be Tom Brady, but guess who we are trying to be? You from last year. Your only competitor is the person in the mirror in what she or he did in 20. And once you go to work on that, then you can elevate. Then you can go, you know what, I think I'm going to limit myself to 1 beer or 1 glass of wine on Friday and Saturday nights. And you're not going to go declare it and put it on your Facebook page. You're just going to maybe make the decision yourself that, all right, for January, I'm going to do that. But it's these little things in getting super tight on what's the commitment. It's not, I'm going to pull back on alcohol or I'm going to start doing my daily workout. That's not going to get you there. You got to go to the detail. And this is what I do with my athletes and the people I'm blessed to coach. I never talk people down, but they are accountable. What are we going to do? What exactly are we committing to? And then I follow up with them on that. David, do you want to add anything to this story about Tom Brady?
No, I love the story, and just tie it back to what we talked about earlier. Let's not worry about what we're going to do for 2021. You know, what Jonathan said, let's worry about what are we going to do today to get to level 5. And then I would push you guys. And one of my takeaways from this is I am going to journal on this. I'm going to pick a time frame. I don't know if it's going to be 3 weeks. I don't know if it's going to be 3 months, but I'm going to pick a time frame and I'm going to train for something. I'm going to have my little Dave Savage training program. I might tell my wife and kids, I might keep it to myself. There might be some things I tell them, some things I keep to self. I'm not going to put any of it on Facebook. Maybe a year from now or 3 months from now, I might share something I learned from that experience. But I would just push everybody, like right now, after this call, schedule some time. What were the takeaways you got? What were the lessons you got? And I would push you as a mortgage coach. I know you need to train. Guys, winter is coming. It's not a question of if rates are going up. It's a question of when and how intensely they go up. It's not a question of, do big lenders like Quicken, like Zillow, like Keller Williams, who owns a mortgage company now, are going to get bigger. It's a question of how big, how fast. And I know that if you are on this call, you're probably a referral-based professional. You probably rely on a local market. And while I believe that technology is essential to your success, you need to use your CRM hourly. You need to take an application in the most efficient, effective way possible. You need to give advice with a Lincoln mortgage coach. I also know what's more powerful than all that. It's leadership and it's your personal energy. Like, if you don't have the energy, if you don't have leadership skills, you're not going to be your best. And guys, winter is coming. You know, we are killing it right now, but it's going to get harder. It's a question of when and how hard. So get after it, train for something. We got 11 minutes, Jonathan. So what do you got in these last 11 minutes, brother?
Let me share 2 things real quick. All of you would be giving yourself the best gift that you've ever given your family if you do one thing. And your negative voice isn't going to like it. I know I use that term a lot because that negative voice, the inner critic's not going to like it. Your family deserves for you to train for your vacations. I don't mean like, oh my gosh, dad has a 6-pack again. I don't mean that yet. I mean, they get the A game. They get the A game in the car. Like, oh my gosh, dad's in a good mood. Like, you're not even at Maine yet or wherever you're going. Dad's like, and where most people in business, and I'm just going to say it for any of you in 20, and you go, no, we couldn't go on vacation because everything's not. All right, we'll call it 19. In 19, when you went on vacation, you were probably doing weekend at Bernie's for the first like 24 to 48 hours. And your spouse is like, dad's just a little exhausted. He's catching up on his sleep. So you're there for 7 days and like 2 to 3 of them are like trying to get back to your A game. And then they only get 4 or 5 days. Forget that. They are game time. They're the most important part of what you do. Give them the gift of your A game. That I'll just say that real quick as far as training for something. All my athletes, whether they're professional athletes or the CEOs, doesn't matter who you are, we're training for something. I'm always training for something. You're always training for something. That's one thing. Secondly, I'm just going to share some numbers with all of you guys that'll hopefully jolt you to your core. Then we'll open it up for questions if you want, Dave, or you can add on from here. But let me share some numbers with you. And don't get caught up on, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous, those numbers. just stay in the pocket of what this is about, which is knowing when preparation time is, committing to a certain level of personal excellence in your preparation time so you can pulverize your game time. You can pulverize, playing with your kids, hanging out with your wife, vacation, client engagement, all of that. Here's some numbers. There's 16,000 high school football teams, okay? Which means there's 16,000 quarterbacks at any given time. Simple enough. There is 127 Division I football programs in the country. So you get 16,000 starters narrowed down to 127 spots. And so if you think in terms of every decade of athletics at these Division I schools, maybe you have 5 quarterbacks that ultimately are the starting quarterback for that decade. So 5 times your 127, you're at 635 potential NFL quarterbacks. And there's 32 teams. Stay with me. So you've gone from 16,000 to 635 to 32 spots. And then if you look at the 32 spots, the top 20 quarterbacks in the NFL are paid $655 million total. So that's $32.5 million each per year. Tell your negative voice to take a hike. We're not talking about, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Stay with me. They work 400 minutes of game time a year. They are paid $32.5 million for 400 minutes of game time, 6.7 hours. And if you do the math below that, because I work with my athletes, CEOs, anyone I'm blessed to serve on this, not that, hey, we're going to go make $1 gazillion. It's not about that. It's about personal excellence. It's about commitment to showing up in a way that your family's never seen. Like, oh my gosh, dad's back. Happy dad, energized dad. Yeah, we're killing it financially cool. The mortgage, man, dad's like goofing around again. We're having a blast. He's a nut. Yes, he's back, right? They're not going to say that, but we want them to think that. That's what this is about, you guys. So those NFL quarterbacks are paid $81,000 a minute. And they're paid $4.9 million an hour. And again, you could go, that's ridiculous. They are. That's the game time though. And if you study the 20, everything is about preparation for the 400 minutes. So as you move forward, Dave and I are going to open up for Q&A and stuff, but in some of you could be like, he's pretty intense. It's like coming through the screen. It's because I want you to win. I want your spouse to be like, oh my gosh, that's the guy I married. Like literally he's back. I knew he was in there. He's just been stressed. He's carrying around this extra weight, or I knew she was in there. And you can have balance. You can actually have both. You can have a balanced life. You can pulverize game time at home with the kids and your spouse, and then go do it with your clients and prospects, pulverize it financially, rock your vacations this year and be like, oh my gosh. And then guess what you get to? A state of never wanting to retire. Dave and I talked about this the other day, right? A lot of people with the mortgage just feel like, I'm gonna make as much as humanly possible, and then I'm gonna run. Don't do that. Shift into a state of balance where you're like, I love this. I'm serving families in this incredibly important moment in their lives. I want to do this forever. That's achievable. It can sound ridiculous, but it's achievable through your preparation time. It's about doing things that others are not willing to do to become a version of yourself that most of them will never have the opportunity to be.
Dude, I am speechless, bro. I want to run through a wall for you. You just pumped me up, Jonathan. I am really looking forward to getting to know you better, becoming more friends. I know we're going to spend some time in towards the end of the year together. I'm really looking forward to that. I would love to interview you more in the mortgage coach community this year, because technology is important. Leadership is more important. And guys, without your personal energy, without your personal vibe, you can't even step into leadership. So having you in Mortgage Coach more often this year would be awesome. You game for that, brother?
Absolutely. As much as you'll have me, I'm here.
All right. So I'm gonna ask a couple questions before I ask questions that came in from the community. And community, thank you for all the feedback. Incredible, Jonathan and Dave, dynamic duel. Thank you, Katie. Crazy small world. Anyways, I'll get into all that feedback. Jonathan, I always feel like when I bring someone on a stage in the Mortgage Coach community that they got to bring it, like whether it's a half an hour or an hour, that needs to be extraordinary value. And in your case, check, we did it. We put something really valuable for anyone who's watching us in Facebook Live in our Insane Productivity Mastermind group. They got value, and anybody that watches us on the YouTube channel, they got value. But I also don't interview people where I think the most value they can deliver is if, in your case, they hire you as a coach, or they subscribe to your email list, or they follow you on social media. So what are the best free ways that people can follow you and connect with you? And then what are some of the premium ways? Buy your book, and what else? How can people connect with you?
I apologize, Dave. I know we're on a tight time window, but I'm going to share a 90-second story that's more important than any of that. Okay. A lot of you are exhausted. It was remarkable. Oh my gosh, we paid down this. You're exhausted. And I don't mean that to be a downer, because I'm fired up. I'm blessed to serve you right now. I'm going to say something to you important though. You're exhausted, but what you do is so remarkable. Don't get stuck in the transactions. Step out far enough to realize what you're doing for people and their dreams of home ownership. And I am the glowing example of that. So Bailey, my golden retriever puppy, he's a nut, but he comes to dump with me, give Karen some downtime so he's not terrorizing the house, right? So Bailey and I go to the dump on Sunday, but on the way back from the dump, we went to the home I grew up in, my neighborhood, my old neighborhood. Bailey's in the sides. And I went and I pulled up at the house that I grew up in. And it's 2.7 miles from where I am with you right now. Now, my home right now, I'm blessed. I overlook the lighthouse and the ocean in Massachusetts. It's ridiculous. I've worked my tail off to earn this. And if you drove by my house sometime and you saw me go down, some of you heard me talk about this at Sales Master, and I grabbed the mail. I love getting the mail. Regina, our mail lady, is a nut. She drives the thing like she's going to make $1 million if she blows the mail truck up. She's like, she drops F-bombs and she's crazy. I went to high school with her. So whenever I hear Regina, I'm like, I go to Karen, I go, was that the mail? And you're kidding not. I love it. And I go down and get the mail, because when I get the mail, I then get to walk up my windy driveway to my ridiculous house overlooking the ocean in Massachusetts. And guess what I do? I am so thankful that my kids are in a secure place. Because 2.7 miles from here, and then I was there on Sunday looking at it with Bailey, is my house that was foreclosed when I was a kid. So when you help the Smiths into their house, that positive guy that's like, oh my gosh, thanks, Susie, you maybe don't know his story. Maybe his house was foreclosed when he was a kid. And maybe you're helping him make sure that his children have a roof over their head. And that is not a transaction, you guys. That is the American dream. You can call me cheesy, you can call me whatever you want. That's why it's important to bring your A game. That's why it's important to love what you do and get your energy back and get your vibe back on and gift your family. And when you get on Game Time and you're talking to the Smiths, the opportunity to serve them, it's not a transaction, because some of them may have grown up in a situation where their house was foreclosed. And for me, this isn't a home. This is our haven. This is my protected place for my home team. And so I'm sorry I'm going on here, Dave, but that's more important. And then you're going to go to this website and do this or that. I love mortgage professionals. I'm blessed to serve a bunch of them. You're all rock stars. Your life is nuts. The volume is crazy, but you can have balance. And so the tools I'll suggest, you can go to energyup.co. That's our platform. If you want to do workouts with me, I'm very loud, shocker. I don't yell at you, I yell to you. But I do 30-minute streaming workouts. There's 13 coaches. It's completely free, energyup.co. And then if you want to learn about coaching, peak performance coaching, where I would be your guide on your journey to pulverize 21, you'd go to peaklockin.com. And then there's things about speaking engagements. And then at the top is coaching. And right now I only have a couple spots available. I'm super blessed with my schedule and stuff, but if you want to hit your goal weight, feel remarkable, be your best self, I would love to guide you on that journey in 2021.
Well, dude, I hope you are on a lot more stages in the mortgage industry this year than you were last year, because you are a lighthouse in the mortgage industry. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate this time we spent together. I'm looking forward to seeing you in person before the year is out. And I'm looking forward to our next interview. If you are watching this right now and you want to say thank you to Jonathan, at least check out his website, follow him on social media, give us a like. If you got value from this and you're watching it on YouTube, give it a like, share it with your mortgage friends. Jonathan Roche, you are the man, bro. Appreciate you.
Dave, thanks for giving me this opportunity to serve your audience. And to all of you, keep doing what you're doing. Make 2021 the best year of your life. And hopefully I'm blessed to serve you in some capacity.
Have an awesome day, guys. Be a 5 one day at a time. Be a 5 today. Do what you got to do and stop what you need to do to be that 5 today and tomorrow. Take care, y'all.